Hello Medford Arts Center Poetry Gathering friends, this is Vince.
And this is Naomi.
Welcoming you once again to Medford Arts Center Poetry Gatherings on the road. Today Naomi and I are in a very special place that inspired three very different artists. Now none of the artists were born here, but all of them spent time here, inspired by the place, the sounds, and the people. Today we're going to share their work with you and also share the history of this very special place.
Okay. We're not telling you where we are. I'm just going to show you some images. If you can just pan around. Maybe you can guess where we are. Happens to be an overcast day. We were hoping for some sun, but you know what? It's always beautiful. And you're at the Jersey Shore. Greetings from
Asbury
Park, New Jersey. For those of you not familiar with the Jersey Shore, Asbury Park is waterfront to the Atlantic Ocean in central New Jersey. This community is rich with a colorful history as a vacation destination dating back to the late 1800s. When I researched the blossoming and aging of this town, I could not help but think of it as a sort of romance moving through the ebbs and flows of first blush into a faded bloom, and then towards a resurrection and renewal of energy. You will see what I mean as we travel back in time through a bit of Asbury Park's history.
Resurrection and renewal of energy? Are you referring to our relationship?
No.
Maybe you are. Well, even so. One of the great parts of our relationship is the fact that I love lyrics and I love to share them with Naomi. So much so that she often asks me if I ever have an original thought. So throughout this video, I'll be interspersing lyrics that reference some of the great locations that Naomi has researched.
Our journey begins with the incorporation of this beachfront area in 1871 by James Bradley, a New York brush manufacturer. This strip was all beach, nothing like what you see today. Mr. Bradley developed this town as a residential community and named it after Francis Asbury, the first bishop of the Methodist Church. At that time, Asbury Park was originally a dry town.
Imagine that. This place was a dry town.
Back in the day, 1880 or so, this boardwalk was becoming and humming with energy, literally. Mr. Bradley was proactive in the development of the infrastructure. While he preferred gaslight, he agreed to allow the Atlantic Coast Electric Company to offer electricity, and Asbury Park native pioneer Uriah White installed the first artesian well here. Mr. Bradley was a man of vision. That vision included the construction of the Asbury Park Boardwalk, a pier at the southern end of the boardwalk, an orchestral pavilion, and several hotels. In 1880, George Tillieu, owner and operator of one of the largest amusement parks in Coney Island, brought steeplechase amusements to Asbury Park.
In 1888, Ernest Schnitzler built a Victorian-style palace merry-go-round with a carousel inside, made up of hand-carved wooden horses, camel notes, and deer inside, a 100 by 100 foot glass structure which became a cornerstone for Palace Amusements, an indoor amusement park located in the southern end of Kingsley between Lake and Cooksman Avenues. Now, Kingsley Street is very important for those familiar with Asbury Park history, because one night on September 4th, 1971, on the Student Prince located at 911 Kingsley Street, Bruce Springsteen met Clarence Clemens. Also, there's a song that references the word Kingsley from Bruce Springsteen's Something in the Night, where he says he was riding down Kingsley, figuring he'd get a drink. In the 1920s, the Paramount Theater was built and the convention hall and casino area was added to the boardwalk. The most famous hotel at this time was the Palace Hotel. Sound familiar? Beyond the palace, the hemi-paradrones scream down the boulevard. That's from Born to Run.
And now I'm just showing you, you've been watching this building here is the frame of what was the building that housed the carousel. This progress was very enticing to other innovators and entrepreneurs who brought their own vision into the area and collaborated with Mr. Bradley to create this country by the sea, as it was known. With all of these new attractions, public changing rooms, a bustling downtown with shops, eateries, and entertainment venues, this became a favorite summer vacation spot for New Yorkers and Philadelphians who traveled here by train, the most common form of transportation at that time.
As many as 600,000 people a year vacationed in Asbury Park during the summer seasons in the early years. By 1912, the New York Times estimated the summer population could reach 200,000.
Palace Amusements evolved over decades into a 36,000 square foot L-shaped amusement park. In 1956, the iconic funny face of Tilly was painted on the building. It is believed that the name Tilly was a tribute to George Tillieu. More on this later. This place was hopping up until the early 1980s, described as a bombardment of the senses, with something for everyone. It was vibrant, alive with excitement, lights, fun, and romance.
As the wizards played down on Pinball Way on the boardwalk way past dark, and the boys from the casino danced with their shirts open like Latin lovers on the shore.
You've probably heard the saying, the only constant is change, a quote by ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus. And here is where the ebb and flow, the waning of Asbury Park's heyday, comes into play. In 1947, the Garden State Parkway was built and people were traveling more by car than train. In 1956, I just want to pan over here, the exit for Asbury Park, now exit 102, was open, but vacationers were now able to drive further south to other seaside towns, Long Beach Island becoming another popular destination. And since traveling by car made it easier to take trains, since traveling by car made it easier to take day trips to the beach, vacationers were no longer staying at the hotels here. Instead, they were just visiting for amusements and attractions on day trips. In the 1950s, 2 of the larger hotels in the town closed, and those buildings became part of the amusement complex.
Real estate development in the surrounding areas contributed to more shifts away from Asbury Park as a vacation destination. When the Monmouth Mall was built in 1960, Asbury Park's small shops along the boardwalk and in town were not as appealing to the public. In 1974, Great Adventure, a theme park and safari with a nearby lake, became a favored vacation spot. And with riots impacting the area in the 1970s, Asbury Park was experiencing a dark time.
In 1988, 100 years after it opened, Palace Amusements was closed down and scheduled for demolition. A grassroots effort was made to save the Tilly mural. Tilly had become a symbol, an iconic mascot for generations of memories and connections to Asbury Park and the Jersey Shore. In 1990, the famous carousel, which I'm pointing to right now, was sold to Family Kingdom Amusement Park. If you want to see this beautiful structure, it now resides and is fully operational in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Isn't that beautiful? Could you imagine all of the people gathering here? What that must have been like?
What a time.
What a time. Okay, now.
Hi everybody, we've left the boardwalk. We're on 4th Street in Asbury Park, in front of the Stephen Crane house. Stephen Crane is one of several artists that we're sharing with you today who spent time in Asbury Park and were inspired by this community. Stephen Crane was born November 1st, 1871 in Newark, New Jersey. He was the youngest of 14 children. And in June of 1883, when Stephen was 12, he and his mother moved to Asbury Park. He would spend the next 9 years here writing his first short stories and poems. And in 1895, he would publish the Civil War novel, The Red Badge of Courage. Today we'd like to share with you the poetry of Stephen Crane. This is From War's Kind. I explain the silvered passing of a ship at night, the sweep of each sad lost wave.
The dwindling boom of the steel things striving, the little cry of a man to a man, the shadow falling across the grayer night, and the sinking of the small star. Then the waste, the far waste of waters and the soft lashing of black waves, for long and in loneliness. Remember thou, O ship of love, thou leavest the far waste of waters and the soft lashing of black waves, for long and in loneliness. Stephen Crane. Another artist who was inspired by Asbury Park was born September 30th, 1884, in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. She grew up in Asbury Park, where her father was a minister. And during those years, she became friends with Ezra Pound, F. Scott Fitzgerald, T.S. Eliot, Thornton Wilder, and S. St. Vincent Millay. And in 1919, she won the Pulitzer Prize. Margaret Widmer attended the Drexel Institute Library School, and we'd like to share with you, I did not know. I did not know that I should miss you, so silver soft your loving came. There were no trumpets down the dawning. There were no leaping tides aflame. Only a peace like still rain falling on a tired land with drought fordone. Only a warmth like light soft lying on a shut place that had no sun. I did not know that I should miss you. I only miss you day and night. Stilly as earth would miss the rainfall, always as earth would miss the light. Margaret Widmer and Stephen Crane, two artists inspired by the community of Asbury Park. Now, back to the boardwalk.
All right, remember earlier I mentioned George Tilliou and the iconic Tilly mural. A portion of the beloved Tilly mural was removed from Palace Amusements from the building before it was demolished in 2004. Now a replica of Tilly is painted above the Wonder Bar on Ocean Avenue, which also is the location of Yappy Hour, where dogs and owners can enjoy live music and food. Palace Amusements became part of the National Register of Historic Places in 2000, 4 years before it was raised.
Sandy, the aurora is rising behind us. This pier lights our carnival life forever. For me, this boardwalk life is through, babe.
Standing around, I want you to see this very important part of Asbury Park history. From 1932 to 2008, there was another attraction worth noting. Marie Costello, also known as Madame Marie, was a long-standing tenant of the Asbury Park Boardwalk in a tiny booth nicknamed the Temple of Knowledge. We're actually standing behind it, and the opening of this little building faces the ocean. Madame Marie was known to have celebrity clients, including Bruce Springsteen, who dedicated his July 4th, 2008 4th of July Sandy to Marie after her passing. She passed in June of 2008.
Did you hear the cops finally busted Madame Marie for telling fortunes better than they do?
And while Asbury Park was losing its appeal as an amusement park and vacation destination to other beach towns, the music and arts were very much alive here. The heyday of the Asbury Park music scene lasted from the late 1960s to the 1980s. If you traveled the circuit or SOAP, Sounds of Asbury Park, during this time, it is said that there were 50 coffee houses, bars, and after-hour clubs with live bands playing on any given weekend.
Down in the town, the circuits full of switchblade lovers.
And how could we not mention the Stone Pony? Founded in 1974 as a starting point for performers. There was also the Saint, an early site for the Asbury Park Music Awards, the Upstage Club, the Convention Center, home since 2008 to the Jersey Shore Girls Roller Derby League, the Paramount Theater, which some say is haunted, the Asbury Hotel with a rooftop movie theater called the Baronet, which is a tribute to the original Baronet movie theater of Buster Keaton days, and as I mentioned earlier, the Wonder Bar, Tilly's Perch, among other notable venues.
Another artist who was not born here, but was certainly inspired by Asbury Park, was Bruce Springsteen. He was born September 23rd, 1949, just up the road in Long Branch. Bruce's second album featured a tribute to Asbury Park, and when he traveled and people asked him to explain what is the Jersey Shore like, he performed this song. This is from the Wild, the Innocent, and the East Street Shuffle, 4th of July, Asbury Park, Sandy. Sandy, the fireworks are hailing over Little Eden tonight, forcing into light of all those stony faces left stranded on this warm July. Down in the town, the circuit's full of switchblade lovers, so fast, so shiny, so sharp. As the wizards play down on Pinball Way on the boardwalk, way past dark. And the boys from the casino dance with their shirts open like Latin lovers on the shore, chasing all them silly New York virgins by the score. And Sandy, the aurora is rising behind us. This pier lights our carnival life forever. Love me tonight, for I may never see you again. Hey, Sandy girl, my baby. Now the greasers, they tramp the streets or get busted for sleeping on the beach all night. And boys in their high heels, old Sandy, their skins are so white. And me, I just got tired of hanging in them dusty arcades, banging the pleasure machines, chasing the factory girls underneath the boardwalks, where they all promised to unsnap their jeans. And you know the tilt-a-whirl down on the South Beach drag, I got on it last night and my shirt got caught. And they kept me spinning. I didn't think I'd ever get off. Sandy, the aurora is rising behind us. This pier lights our carnival life on the water, running, laughing neath the boardwalk with the boss's daughter. I remember, Sandy girl. Sandy, the waitress I was seeing lost her desire for me. I spoke with her last night. She said she won't set herself on fire for me anymore. She worked that joint under the boardwalk. She was always the girl you saw bopping down the beach with the radio. The kids say last night she was dressed like a star in one of those cheap seaside bars. And I saw her parked with Loverboy out on the Kokomo. Did you hear the cops finally busted Madame Marie for telling fortunes better than they do? For me, this boardwalk life's through, babe. You ought to quit this scene too. Sandy, the aurora is rising behind us. This pier lights our carnival life forever. Love me tonight, and I'll promise I'll love you forever. Oh, Sandy girl. Bruce Springsteen, from Wild and Innocent and the East Street Shuffle.
And happy birthday, Bruce.
He's 71.
Okay, so now I'm going to just move this over. Next. This is a town that was on the brink of extinction, and yet in the last 2 decades continues to rebuild itself. It has inspired writers, artists, poets, and musicians, and offers visitors restaurants, coffee houses, bars, shops, music venues, museums, and festivals.
Festivals, lots of festivals.
I forgot to mention the festivals. There are dozens of them. Annual festivals, including the Asbury Music Awards, the Garden State Film Festival, the annual Zombie Walk, which takes place the first Saturday in October every year. In 2013, almost 10,000 zombies shambled along the Asbury Park boardwalk. Right along this boardwalk. By the way, shambling, is a term used to describe an awkward gait.
By zombies.
I learned that while I was looking this up. Ironically, due to the COVID virus, out of concern for the zombies, there will not be a live gathering, but a virtual shamble will take place. So if you're interested, there is a Facebook page for the Asbury Park Zombie Walk. And let me just bring you back over to the ocean. We hope you enjoyed this different approach to our poetry gatherings. It was fun and challenging to create. As I mentioned in our last video, the Medford Arts Center will host its 13th annual poetry contest for adults this year, as well as its 3rd annual poetry contest for students. Please check on the Medford Arts Center's website and Facebook page for more information. Submissions for this contest will be due by November 30th, and awards and readings will be presented later in December virtually. Please join us on the Medford Arts Center's YouTube channel in October for another monthly poetry gathering. We look forward to sharing words, lyrics, and joy with you again.
Be well. We miss you.
We miss you. Bye-bye.